I have a mission for you, and it's not impossible. Progressives shouldn't be fighting the Tea Party. We should be learning from them. Well, actually, we should be fighting them too, but not just. Anyhow, we shouldn't be learning from their bizarro economics. We shouldn't be learning from their selfish morality or their destructive idealism, but instead we should be learning from how they took control of the Republican Party and how they forced the entire conservative establishment to lurch so far to the right that they've even dumped people like David Frum. If progressives hope to have any shot at influencing today's Democratic Party and kicking out the corporate blue dog Democrats and replacing them with real deal progressives, then we need to get to work right now and do exactly what the Tea Party did a year and a half ago to take power. And it starts in our own backyards. Let me introduce you to the Concord Project, a right-wing organization in charge of getting out the vote for Republicans. Last year, the Concord Project expanded their get-out-the-vote strategy beyond just traditional phone banking, canvassing, and putting up Vote Republican signs. They decided to infiltrate local politics by encouraging Tea Partiers, conservatives, to become precinct committeemen. Here's their pitch.
What's the most powerful political office in the world? It is not the President of the United States. It's precinct committeeman. Why?
So why is a precinct committeeman so important?
First, because precinct committeemen and only precinct committeemen get to elect the leaders of the political parties. If you want to elect the leadership of one of the two major political parties in this country, then you have to become a precinct committeeman.
As in, politics starts at the bottom. It starts with precinct committee men and women, people who are either appointed or win local elections with very few votes at stake, in some cases 10 or 20 votes, positions that pretty much anyone can hold, but positions that wield enormous power. It's precinct committee men and women who elect district, county, and state party officials and delegates, who choose primary nominees that then go on to hold elected office, and who help draft the party's platform. So, if far-right Tea Partiers move in and take over precinct committeemen and women's seats, then they'll also nominate a slew of Tea Partiers to hold higher offices within the Republican Party and for primaries. That was their pitch. And those Tea Party Republican Party primary candidates would then be winnowed down in the primary to one Tea Party Republican to run against the Democrat in the general election. That was their pitch. And it worked. Control the primaries, and the precinct committee people do, and you control the ultimate candidate, the election, and ultimately the nation, as we saw this week when the Tea Party Republican freshmen who were elected because of this strategy blew up John Boehner's deal with Obama to raise taxes. Here's a video from January of 2010 with the same Concord Project representative encouraging the Tea Party to do exactly what I just described.
This video is for all the people out there in the Tea Party movement, the 912ers, the We Surround Them people, just good, decent people who are really fearful of what's going on in the country and want to do something to fix things, and they're not sure what to do. Well, I've got a solution for you. The best way to ensure that good conservatives win that all-important primary election is to become a real ball player in the ball game of politics. And that ball game is called party politics. And this is a secret. They don't want the party establishments and the incumbents don't want you to know about this, and that's why I'm telling you about it. Only precinct committeemen can vote to elect party leaders. Only precinct committeemen can vote to endorse candidates.
Again, that was in 2010, 11 months before the elections. In 2008, half of the Republican Party's precinct committee positions around the country were vacant. But today, motivated by the efforts of people like the Concord Project, the Tea Party has swept in to fill the gaps. They've filled up the Republican Party. And we saw the results of the precinct committee takeover last year with Tea Party candidates worming their way onto nearly every ballot around the country and actually picking up 87 new seats in the U.S. House of Representatives and 9 new seats in the Senate. And even though the Tea Party doesn't control a majority within the Republican Party in Congress, they do control the Republican Party's platform because they have the control of the precinct committees. And therefore, progressives need to do the same thing, only within the Democratic Party. If we've learned one thing over the last few years, it's that the Democratic Party has shifted to the center. and its establishment is unwilling to adopt real progressive change when it comes to things like health reform, energy reform, and election reform, just to name a few. And as we saw in the Bush tax cut debate last year and the recent debt limit debate, this unwillingness to stand up and fight is leading to an endless stream of Republican victories and the dismantling of programs the progressives fought so hard for over the entire last century. We have been too often losing these fights. And to win them, it takes more than union protests in Wisconsin or U.S. uncut demonstrations on Wall Street or activism against your member of Congress, although those are all important. But to really take power, like the Tea Party did in one short year, it'll take an infiltration of the Democratic Party itself through claiming precinct committee positions. If this year, starting now, we execute the exact same strategy the Tea Party did last year, then we can move the Democratic Party back to its progressive roots and finally see the progressive reforms that we've been fighting for. So here's your assignment, Mr. and Mrs. Phelps, should you decide to accept it. We have 15 months before the next election, and your mission is to show up at your local Democratic Party headquarters and begin the infiltration. As always, should you or any of your team be caught or killed, my producers, Sean, Mana, and Sam will disavow any knowledge of your actions. This video will self-destruct in 3 seconds. Good luck. Heather in Phoenix. Hey, Heather, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I wanted to share some good news. I wanted to let you know that I became a precinct committee person. You're the one that convinced me to do it.
That's wonderful. What was the process like?
It wasn't that difficult. It was actually really easy. I attended a district meeting, and I just asked about it, and they scheduled me to go to training. And
how cool is that?
And that was it.
That is great.
Yeah, and that's part of the good news that I wanted to tell you. I found out that Maricopa County, it's the largest county in Arizona, only had about a little over 600 PCs. And I found out at my first training that they had over 1,000 new PCs register in a week.
Wow. So people are waking up and this is precinct committee persons, and they're jumping into the party in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
That is great news. That is great news.
Big time. Yeah, and I actually got to meet our new county recorder a couple days ago, and he said that we have a system, it's called Request to Speak, where you can weigh in on bills, and they've had record-breaking numbers of new people registering and using that system as well.
That's wonderful.
How does one become a precinct committeeman? Bottom line, every state has different rules and procedures for becoming a precinct committeeman with full voting rights within the parties. And each party within each state may have different rules. In Arizona, for example, you must be elected to the office of precinct committeeman. But you don't have to get more than 10 signatures of registered voters from your party or from independents to get your name on the primary ballot. Precinct committeemen in Arizona are not required to pay dues. Ohio's system is similar to Arizona's. Other states require dues and require precinct committeemen attend meetings and sign pledges to support the party's candidates. Arizona's system does not require meeting attendance. So how do you find out how it works in your state? The best way is to contact your state or county political party organization and find out where your local party committee meets. Get on the internet and find it. Use the phone book. Call information. Then contact your party organization and find out when and where they meet. Then go to the meeting and ask how one becomes a voting member of the party. Be persistent. Don't be bashful. And before you go, you may want to get on the internet and see how much information already exists about how things are done in your state. Thank you.
Good evening. In less than 36 hours, we will know who the next Republican nominee for Congress is.
That decision falls solely on 520 precinct committee members. So are they ready to vote? News Channel 15's Aisha Husney has been digging into that today. And Aisha, you found out there are still a lot of them who have not made up their minds.
That's right, Heather. It's a pretty mixed bag tonight. There are lots of committee members who've narrowed it down to their top 5 and others who still have no idea.
In less than 2 days, 520 precinct committee members will choose the next Republican nominee for Congress. Getting to that finish line,
a lot of phone calls. You get phone calls, a lot of letters.
I have a folder full.
Has been a wild journey.
I'm okay with it. My wife is ready for it all to be over.
Committee members have talked to voters.
Talked to my neighbors and family and friends.
Cut candidates who didn't put in the right kind of effort.
That was an automatic scratch off.
And gave bonus points to those who added a personal touch.
The one-on-one communication with the candidate was probably the best.
Some have made up their minds.
My first choice, I think, is going to be Ryan Elijah.
Others,
well, I am closer,
are still mulling it over.
I'm going to make my final decision Saturday morning.
But even if they don't know who they're backing yet, each member we spoke to knows the weight of their vote.
I do not take this lightly. I want you to know that I feel that this is a responsibility that, is actually an honor.
It's kind of exciting, actually.
To be one of 500 people to pick who will be the candidate, choosing the next congressman, it's a pretty heavy duty, and I think everybody takes that pretty seriously.
Also wanted to thank you for talking me into becoming a precinct committeeman.
Did you do it?
It's very rewarding. Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's been super.
So tell us about the experience.
I can't believe more people aren't doing this. It's so rewarding, and you do have a little bit of power.
How did you become? Tell us what the process is in Arizona, David.
Well, it can be very, very easy to become a precinct committeeman here. All you have to do is just basically go out and get 10 signatures from anybody from your precinct.
What is a precinct? A precinct is the smallest political subdivision in a state. Every voter lives in a precinct. Consider it your political neighborhood. Here's the map of my precinct. It's in Tempe, Arizona, and it's about a half mile on each side. State statutes determine how many precinct committeemen each political party may have per precinct. In Arizona, for example, each political party may have one precinct committeeman for every 125 voters of that party residing in a precinct. Some precincts might have 2 precinct committeemen. Others might have 15. Then, every legislative district is made up of a number of precincts. Here's a map of my legislative district, and here's my precinct down here, and this again is in Tempe, Arizona. There are 30 legislative districts within the state of Arizona, and 18 of them are within, completely or partly, Maricopa County. Each party can determine how to organize their precinct committees. Where I live in Maricopa County, Arizona, our precinct committeemen meet monthly at legislative district committee meetings where officers are elected. All precinct committeemen in the county have the right to attend the county meeting and vote to elect the county officers. The county committee also meets monthly. Precinct committeemen also have the right to be elected as delegates to the party's state and national conventions. Each party's national and state organizations have bylaws and rules that govern these rights. Thank you.